Remember when the NBA dunk contest was cool? From its invention, the competition was a place for basketball's best to show off their athleticism. Dr. J, Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins, Kobe Bryant, and more graced our television screens. As we entered the new millennium, some big names like Dwight Howard and Blake Griffin still competed, but it was less and less the case. And viewership waned in response. They turned up the theatrics to try and get viewers back, Superman capes and blowing out candles. It was cool, but we didn't care that much. You either tuned in or you didn't. It didn't matter in the same way. And now the past 3 dunk contests have been won by a guy who barely plays actual NBA minutes. Sure, the dunks are on paper better, but are the competitions actually more exciting? I don't know. Then came February 2016. 2 dunkers stepped onto the court and did something different. They reminded us why we fell in love with this weird, awesome performance art in the first place. The NBA's All-Star Weekend is a fun time. Even during the years where it seemed more like an afterthought than a main event, it's still a great time to see these unbelievable athletes outside of the context of the whirlwind of the regular basketball schedule. I've always thought that the skills challenge was a great time, and the Rising Stars game is fun, especially as a point in time to look back on and then see what Rising Stars actually became stars and which didn't. The 3-point contest has provided some memorable moments over the years, and the NBA's All-Star game has experimented with a few interesting formats. But to me, the main attraction of the NBA's All-Star Weekend has always been the dunk contest. It was an idea born out of the more anything goes ethos of the old ABA, the American Basketball Association pre-NBA merger. In the first dunk contest, Julius Erving, already the face of the slam dunk, soared from the free throw line for a spectacular introduction to the contest, and instantly basketball fans were hooked. Dunking is already the coolest thing you can do on a basketball court. So a full competition of the best in the league trying to dunk better than each other, how could that not be the best? When the leagues merged, the NBA was quick to adopt the idea, and it's carried into modern years. In 2016, the night began with 4 dunkers: the Denver Nuggets' Will Barton, the Detroit Pistons' Andre Drummond, the Minnesota Timberwolves' Zach LaVine, and the Orlando Magic's Aaron Gordon. For the former 2, the nights didn't last that long. Will Barton entered the court accompanied by dancers pulled from the set of the Thriller music video as a nod to his nickname of Thrill. After the Undead left the court and the red jacket was off, he threw down a between-the-legs reverse slam that earned him a 44, mostly falling short because of a 6 from the harsh judging Magic Johnson. Unfortunately, he was not able to land another dunk in 3 attempts on his next turn-up, and Will Barton bowed out. On first look, Andre Drummond looks like he should have a significant advantage over his fellow competitors, standing at 7 feet tall and towering over the other men who aren't exactly small themselves. But his choice, and more importantly, his execution of his dunks, left something to be desired. He had to settle for a neutered version of his first dunk, and while he got some points for creativity after enlisting the great Steve Nash and his second sports skills for a rainbow to windmill dunk, it also took quite a few tries. So his score suffered, and Andre Drummond bowed out. Before we get to our 2 main characters here, let's take a second and rewind to 1988. This specific dunk contest is often heralded by nostalgia merchants, and reasonably so. It was a thrilling competition between some of the league's most recognizable stars at the time, including Michael Jordan, ever the competitor, Dominique Wilkins, Spud Webb, and Clyde the Glide Drexler. It's not these guys' first time competing. In 1985, Jordan's rookie year, he went head-to-head with the more established Dominique. Jordan wowed the crowd with his signature hang time, but ultimately Wilkins' raw power had the edge as he took the crown with windmills and rim rattling. Spud Webb drew plenty of eyes when he won the 1986 dunk contest, standing at just 5'7", and in 1987, MJ got the title, beating out the huge Atlanta Hawk. But 1988 has gone down as the most exciting dunk contest face-off of this era. In front of a roaring Chicago Stadium crowd, there were plenty of great dunks thrown down, but by the championship round, it was just Jordan and Wilkins. Together they elevated this dunk contest into legend. MJ showed off his ability to seemingly turn gravity off at will and float to the rim, while Wilkins showed off his size and power. When Dominique unleashed his third dunk, a towering two-hand windmill, he looked over to the judges' table to see that they gave him a 45. Jordan answered with a signature free throw line dunk, smooth as silk, for a perfect 50, clinching the contest. And that ending has never stopped being argued about. Was Wilkins underscored? Did Jordan get the benefit of a home judging table? The contest was in Chicago, after all, and 2 of the judges had local Chicago ties. And that's the thing about the '88 contest. It had storylines. The rivalries, the controversy, it's all part of why people revere this era of the contest. And while I recognize that I started this video off invoking the old glory days of the dunk contest, there's also no denying that as the NBA is filled with better and better athletes, the dunks in the dunk contest have also gotten better and better. The drama hasn't been as good, but the dunks undoubtedly have. And in 2016, we had both. Aaron Gordon of the Orlando Magic entered for his first dunk contest. He would after this quickly become a mainstay of the competition, and his first dunk showed us exactly why. Aaron Gordon wasn't built like lanky high flyers of the past and was more like a Blake Griffin or Dwight Howard with broad shoulders and strength, but he could still move like he had springs in his shoes. The dunk received 9s all around, and the announcers kind of made it seem like Gordon was just an appetizer to what was going to come next with Lavine.
I still believe that the guy coming next will electrify the building and get the building back in here. Yeah, man, these are great dunks.
But AG had plenty more coming. As he prepared for his next attempt, a strange green figure entered in the background of the frame. He rolled over to Gordon on a hoverboard. This really was 2016, wasn't it? He dapped him up, and then he took the basketball.
If he does this, though, he does this. That's a 10. That's a 10.
Deserved reactions from the crowd followed. That was a new level. The mascot Stuff the Dragon was more than comic relief, and really highlighted just how high Gordon was jumping as he cleared the mascot and the hoverboard and still had airtime to pass between his legs. His ability to jump harkens back to another one of the most memorable dunk contests in history, the 2000 contest. By the mid-90s, the dunk contest had lost some of its shine. The biggest names in the league had no real incentive to participate. They figured the risks outweighed the reward. A bad showing could dent a superstar's image. Stars were replaced by lesser-known players, and fans got used to seeing bench players as headliners. And then in 1998, the NBA pulled the plug altogether, scrapping the contest. But they brought it back in 2000, and they were immediately glad that they did. It wasn't intense competition that revived its glory, it was just Vince Carter. Vince Carter's performance in Oakland was basically an exhibition for Vince Carter, as he obliterated the concept of what was possible. His 360 windmill with a full arm extension, his honeypot elbow in the rim, his between the legs off the lob, these weren't dunks that could be answered. And as he instantly made iconic, just as he said, it was over. The other participants, including Tracy McGrady and Steve Francis, were great in their own right, but Carter's show was so commanding that they just kind of became footnotes. And that's why it's remembered so vividly. 2000 was about one guy making a truly singular highlight reel. And it was a good enough highlight reel that it almost single-handedly convinced everyone that the dunk contest mattered again. Now, after those 2 pretty special Aaron Gordon dunks, you'd be forgiven that this 2016 contest was going to go the same way that the Vince Carter one did. But instead, this was going to be a dogfight. Zach LaVine entered the stadium to back-to-back, a fitting soundtrack as he was looking to repeat his 2015 dunk contest win from the year prior, and the song harkened back to the time in history when Drake actually won his rap piece. For his first dunk, he looked to bounce the ball to himself. A tricky thing to get exactly right, but when you do, it can be special.
We're waiting. They are waiting.
It's a long drum roll.
Yes, there it is.
As he celebrated with his Minnesota teammates, he was awarded a perfect 50. As the announcers said, this was the star of the show. The reigning champion, jumping so high he had to avoid the rim with his head and still slamming a reverse jam. Even Andre Drummond looked ready to leave after seeing what he was up against. For his next attempt, Lavine would call back to the classic MJ approach. Jump as far and as high as possible and dunk it. Only this time, he also had to catch an alley-oop.
Oh my God, it's gonna get done. Oh my goodness. It's gonna get done.
While the famously stingy Shaq kept him from a perfect 50 here, the crowd was not happy with that decision from the big man. We were clearly shaping up for something special. With the first round done, we now move on to the championship round. It's just Gordon and Lavine left. Gordon wanted to keep the mascot theme going and brought him back out. Stuff held the ball out like the Statue of Liberty, and AG gave him a wave.
How do you work on these dunks? Oh, no, this is real. This is real. Okay. This is real. This is real. That's a 50. That's a 50. That is a 50.
Suddenly, the reigning champion was in trouble. These past two Aaron Gordon dunks were spectacular, and Lavine might be getting passed up by a new challenger, especially because the judges just awarded Aaron Gordon with a 50. So Lavine decided to match him. He saw AG's one-hand cupped ball windmill spinning dunk, but went the self-lob route.
Okay, Zach said. Okay. It's the same dunk without the hoverboard. It's the same.
The commentators noted that this was not earning any creativity points. We just saw Gordon do a very similar type of throwdown, but how could you rate this any less than a 50? Especially in slow motion, it's just as cool as it gets. These two are brushing way up against the barriers of what should be physically possible, and the judges agreed. 50 for Lavine. The men remain tied. Prior to the competition, Gordon stated his goal was to do 4 dunks that had never been seen in the contest before. So when Stuff came out for a third time, we knew something special was about to happen.
No, but that cover board and doing that, come on, man.
No, that might be Alfred Payton in that mascot.
The mascot, AG, the commentators, everyone in the building erupted. Even Zach Lavine could recognize the greatness of that one. Aaron Gordon was walking a delicate line with his dunks. Athleticism versus gimmick. When it tips too far towards gimmick, you get a bunch of dunks that are more like stunts. And when it tips too far towards athleticism, you get a bunch of dunks that can maybe blur together. AG was elevating the theater, the creativity and memorability of his dunks, while still allowing the real highlight to be his unbelievable athleticism. Aaron Gordon fully cleared the mascot, passed the ball underneath his piked legs, and slammed it with his head basically in the netting of the basket. Let's take a second and really try and understand how high that jump was. Let's say, conservatively, that Stuff, the mascot, stands at about 6 feet tall, including the extra height from the suit and everything. Wherever you're watching from, go ahead and measure 6 feet on the wall next to you or something like that, and now imagine jumping over that. It's probably not going to happen. Now imagine jumping over that with an extra couple feet of clearance to grab the ball underneath yourself and pass it under your legs and dunk it all while in the air. It's really hard to actually get how insane that was, but hopefully that put it into a little bit of context. Lavine had to do something pretty special to respond, and with Gordon's 2 dunks of the round being perfect so far, the Timberwolf needed a perfect 50 to tie. Remember back in 1988, that contest that many would call the best ever? Jordan and Wilkins were getting 50-point scores for windmill dunks and free throw line dunks. Great feats in their own right, but what if you combine the two? Lavine began running. Another well-deserved 50. I think that the dunk contest becomes really memorable when one of 2 storylines emerge. Either it is a great fight between 2 competitors, like MJ and Dominique in '88, or it's just one guy putting on a solo show that's just really, really cool, like that 2000 contest, or even like Dwight Howard during the Superman phase. This was solidly the former. 2 guys giving us iconic effort after iconic effort. The storyline was clear: the defending champion, and then the exciting, kind of unexpected but unbelievably talented challenger, and the dunks were better than ever. Each of these, in a normal year, would be a winner, but through 4 dunks, nothing separated them, so we go to sudden death. Both men used the backboard to elevate their next efforts.
Have you ever seen them at the same time?
Yeah, I have. Wait, let me see it. Jeez. Okay. I didn't know he had that.
Both dunks were 50s, so we go to another tiebreak. The atmosphere was feverish, and the courtside viewers began to encroach into the court in excitement. Gordon went first. He tried to use the shot clock for his first attempt, but that wasn't working, so he moved to the corner spot and launched from there.
This is, man.
That's got to be.
Yeah, that's
back of the head. Look at
back of the head.
Down low. And
too
then
slow.
flush.
Wow.
Lavine smelled blood, and he strolled to the opposite end of the court. We'd already seen him alley-oop from the free throw line and windmill, but he had one more idea.
You'll go high five.
First of all, he's not going to do that.
Okay.
That's impossible.
Right. Okay, we're going to see.
This was never before seen in the dunk contest, and as Lavine mapped a new frontier, he earned a 50. Gordon's score had faltered a little bit with a 57, so Lavine was the champion.
Great competition. Great competition. Great night. Great night. All of the challenges tonight were great.
You're on fire, man. I appreciate you, man.
But really, the result mattered less than the fact that these two had given the world a dunk contest show better than one seen in decades. Over the decades, humans have stretched the boundaries of what the body can do in midair. What once was a stadium-shocking effort and earned a 50 now feels routine. So for Gordon and Lavine to really get to that next level, they had to push each other creatively, and they did. And because they were competing with one another, they got to that next alien-like level. Afterward, Gordon reflected on the competition, saying, "I kind of don't really know what I just did, but Zach went through the legs from the free throw line. That's insane. That's where the trophy is with him and not with me." Aaron Gordon probably had the highest highs of the contest, but Lavine came out on top in the final round. But really, most of these dunks were, pardon the pun, slam dunk 50-pointers. A couple of guys, barely old enough to rent a car, went out there and kept raising the bar until nobody knew where the bar even was anymore. For one night, we all got to feel like the laws of physics were a little looser than usual. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you should go ahead and subscribe because I've got more videos like this coming soon. Also, if you're still here, that means you probably like this style of video, which is great. I've got plenty more like it on my channel that you should check out. I'll see you in the next one.